Halló. Góðan daginn og verið velkomin hingað í Opin Kerfi. Ég heiti Trausti Eiríksson, ég ráðgjafi í netlausnum hjá Opnum Kerfum og vil bara bjóða ykkur velkomin. Eins og ég sjá, það morgunmötu þarna viljið og annað slíkt. Fundurinn í dag er tekin upp og verður aðgengilegur á vefnum hjá okkur á fljótlega eftir helgi. En umfjöllunarefni í dag að nota WiFi sem markaðstól. Þetta eitthvað sem hefur verið að færast í aukan upp á síðkastið að fyrirtæki, sérstaklega erlendis, að nota þráðlaust netlausnir og annað slíkt til þess að ná betur til viðskiptavina sína, að fá nánari upplýsingar það og bæði bjóða betri þjónustu og auka hagræðingu hjá sér í staðinn. Í dag hjá okkur þá að tala Anders Andersen frá Danmörku og Jonathan Howell frá Bretlandi og ég ætla bara að leyfa þeim að taka svið. Gjör svo vel.
I guess that meant start?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Anders from Aruba Networks, sales specialist / territory manager. The main topic for this event is, as you know, retail. So what I'll do is just give a general introduction to our company and our products, and then I'll hand over the microphone to Jonathan Howell, because he's our retail expert. Aruba is a part of the HP Enterprise group of companies, and so how do we see the IT landscape today? We basically have three simple core beliefs, if you will. One is that the world will be hybrid. Some years ago, some people thought that everything will remain in the data center. Other people thought that, no, everything will be in the cloud. We are pretty sure that that will be a mixture. Secondly, more and more things will be software defined. Instead of having to send people off to locations to patch equipment or to reconfigure it manually, more and more will be done via software. And finally, the edge will explode. Now, the edge is the edge. That's where all the users are, the equipment, the switches, the wireless equipment, the IoT devices, the iPhones, the Android devices, all that kind of stuff. And if you look at all the apps that are being developed and the equipment that is being connected to the internet, a lot of things is going on. And the need for being able to handle and process that data at the edge is just exploding. So that's our three core beliefs. And that, of course, requests a product focus. So what are we focusing on when we develop our products? The first one is to be as open as possible. That is, the Aruba products are very interoperable. They can operate with equipment for a lot of other manufacturers. We think that you should use the technology, bring your own device, and IoT as an advantage without compromising security. So we have a lot of software products that actually makes it possible to take advantage of this new technology without compromising security. Another important thing about our product development is that we think that technology should scale very easily. That is, you should use the same configuration tools, the same network management tools, the same deployment tools, no matter if you are deploying a network with 1 access point or 50,000 access points. It should be a smooth ladder where you can actually climb as you go. In terms of management, as per our first vision or idea that the world will be hybrid, you can choose between cloud-managed networks or locally managed networks. Sometimes today people think that the wireless part of the infrastructure is more or less the same. When it turns out, if you do some testing and you really find out what's going on, it really makes a lot of difference what type of wireless technology that you're actually implementing. So we recommend that people do some thorough testing before they actually implement their wireless of choice, because it makes no sense to have a lot of sophisticated software if you don't have a solid, high-capacity, stable network underneath the whole thing. Mobile engagement, that's basically our term for using the wireless network to not just internet access, but a lot of other things like indoor navigation, push messages, customer loyalty programs, stuff like that. That's what Jonathan will come in and talk about in detail. And last but not least, total cost of ownership. It's not uncommon that you can have a saving of 15 to 35% when you're comparing an Aruba solution to competition. So when you are evaluating a solution, we suggest that make sure that you have all the licenses, all the calculations that need to be in place to make a proper calculation of your return on investment. And last, just our product portfolio. We're standing on 5 product legs, if you will. One to the left, the wireless access point for indoor and outdoor use. As you scale up, you can install controllers to control your clusters of wireless access points. To the far right, we have the switches. We are using a lot of R&D resources into making these switches software configurable so that you can, for example, configure your ports via software instead of manually. Top right, network management. Central is our cloud-based solution for managing your networks via our cloud service. Airwave is the on-site equivalent of Central, on-site network management. Top left, ClearPass and Universal Profiler. That's a product that makes it possible to implement security policies across your network. Policies for users, for devices, locations, applications, all that kind of stuff. And at the bottom, we have analytics and mobile engagement, and that's actually where the retail thing comes in, where you're actually using the technology to much more than just gaining internet access. And that's me so far, so now it's retail time.
I need a microphone. I suppose I do need a microphone. So while Troust is just getting this thing to work. So I look after retail for EMEA, but I've had about 15-year background in Wi-Fi. So the way I got into Wi-Fi initially and into analytics was about 2007. I founded my own wireless internet service provider, where we built around 60 large marinas and we did some large shopping malls, and I was the CEO of it. I lost a lot of money because in those days, weirdly, 10 years ago, people didn't think there was any value in data analytics. So I stripped out all of the user analytics from people on their boats and inside a mall, took it to the brands, and they said, we're not interested. And I said, but there must be an interest for the demographic of the users that are going into your malls or into your boats or caravan parks or wherever it happened to be, in airports we were doing. And the brand said, nope, we've got no interest in it. Now, 10 years later, all the brands are talking around is how do we understand what the customer journey is, how do we understand the demographic and where they are. So I started my background then, and then I ended up at HP, funnily enough, running the wireless business for around 3 years, and then went to Meraki and ran the channel at Cisco Meraki. And the reason I run the retail business for HPE is after that I ran the global Wi-Fi monetization business for Singtel, which is probably the globe's largest service provider. And that was really interesting because it gave us real insight into how large brands wanted to engage with the public, whether it was through Wi-Fi networks or now it's through beacons or through 4G and through applications. So I came back into HP, and now I manage retail, smart spaces, so intelligent spaces, and location-based services. So that's what we're going to run through today. But if you have any questions, please just put your hand up, because I'm going to be doing a bit of slides, but also I'm going to log in and show you some live splash pages that we're doing, some live analytics that we're doing as well, and a couple of videos as well. So I'm going to try and go from that screen to that screen and back again without breaking it. So the agenda really is to go through some retail trends that hopefully most of you all know, but it's just interesting to reaffirm what the trends are at the moment. Challenges and the solutions. So what's the challenges we're seeing in retail and hospitality? The architecture, which Anders has quite kindly gone through a little bit of, so I don't really have to bury it into that. Some of our retail customers, and then run into some live demos as well. So some of the trends we're seeing at the moment, I think all of you recognize these stats, you know, that mobile phone and tablet engagement and online retail sales is surging. I think yesterday in the newspapers they were saying something like it's, I think, 65% of women now do the majority of their internet usage, which is around 3 to 4 hours a day on a mobile phone. And the desktop stuff is actually sliding off at a lower rate. Interestingly, tablet engagement isn't growing that fast. So what people are doing in store or at home on a tablet isn't really driving retail. It seems to still be very much phone-based. So as you can see, there's a few stats here. The interesting one is 84% of consumers use mobile devices for purchasing decisions, which is exactly what we all do. As you know, I was in the airport yesterday and I bought some Bose headphones because my son broke them, unfortunately. And the first thing I did was go straight to Amazon, find it was £50 cheaper, walk it up to there, take a screenshot, get a price match, and I ended up getting £60 off, so 75, 80 euros. So all of my purchasing decision was done according to my mobile phone. And then the interesting ones we're seeing at the moment are things like mobile wallet usage. So I'm not sure how fast you're seeing mobile wallet usage here, but in the UK, US, and certain parts of Iberia, we're seeing a massive growth in mobile wallet engagement. So what we're starting to see now is that brands are saying, okay, if you come into a store, and I'll talk a bit more about this in a minute, but if you walk into a store and you're engaged with some sort of beacon technology that we provide, or a Wi-Fi or a push notification, then we can insert that directly into your mobile wallet within your iPhone. And once it's in there, so once you've actually got your mobile wallet in there, it's a bit like your check-in airboard pass or a Ticketmaster event. Once it's in there, we can now change the offer live on the customer's mobile wallet, even when they're not in the store. So if they keep that coupon directly into their wallet, we can actually tweak the offer directly. So when they come into the store, we can trigger a beacon to say, John's back in the store, he's been looking at this, this, and this at home, and we can change the mobile wallet to actually offer me €5 off or a bigger discount or something like that. So as you can see here, 60% of people are now using mobile wallets and brands are looking to use mobile wallets as a way of having a loyalty system. So the days of having a plastic loyalty card for the last 4 large brands that we've just met last week are gone, and they're trying to move their loyalty practice directly into their application, because they find that if they're offering loyalty points on a card, 55–60% of men forget the card, like myself. I don't know where my loyalty cards are, but you never forget your phone, so you're much more likely to engage using your mobile phone. Then there's just an interesting one from Google. We go to the Google I/O conference every year, and the way they're seeing the market grow in purchasing decision and engagement through mobile phones. Just a couple of useful stats there. So what is mobile engagement? Anders mentioned that we talk about mobile engagement at Aruba, and what does that actually mean? So it means, in my world, because we obviously deal with Wi-Fi and beacons and analytics, we see it as guest Wi-Fi. So a guest can connect to a data network however they want to connect, whether that's 4G, 3G, or Wi-Fi. The difference is if you can get a guest to engage through Wi-Fi, then you can offer the same experience. So we spoke to a large airport in the UK, and they said, well, we don't really need Wi-Fi because we've got 4G. But some networks have 4G, some have 2G, some haven't even got 3G. So some guests are getting a 4G experience and some are getting no data at all. So how do we make sure every single visitor to that airport has the same bandwidth so they can see the same experience? So it's free open guest Wi-Fi, not even a captive portal page. So they don't even want to slow the user down by having a captive portal page. They want them just to click connect and they're on. And they accept terms and conditions with the GDPR legislation, and they're straight on. So the reason we talk about guest Wi-Fi with engagement is because we're not engaging with the customer through Wi-Fi, but we're using Wi-Fi as the transport network. So we can just make sure if we want to send them video, coupons, that every single user is going to get 10 meg, for example, or 6 meg, but a threshold anyway. Then we start looking at wayfinding. So what's really exciting, I've built an app. It's a bit crap, to tell you the truth, because I built it, and I'm not an app developer. But it's a video I'm going to show you later on, which shows how you can engage with a customer using wayfinding. So you can walk past the store and say, hey, John, you've got this in your basket. and I'll navigate you directly to where that product is that you've put into your basket, and you can buy it with Apple Pay or Android Pay and walk straight out. So we built that application to demo in Paris last year, and I'm going to walk you through that video. Location-based services, what we mean by that are, we use Bluetooth in two different ways. We use Bluetooth technology to navigate you to a product, or to find a friend, which is another important one. Find a friend, we call it, is actually in retail, find an associate. So if you need help or you're a VIP customer, you can push a button on your phone and it will show you where the nearest radio specialist is, or where the nearest air conditioning specialist is, whatever the specialist is. You can now track and find associates. And then you've got the analytics and how to monetize the analytics. So I'm basically walking through my role here. So this is what we when we talk to customers, this is what we talk about. And the analytics and monetization is pulling data from the beacons that are triggered on the wall. I think Trousty's put some in the shop over there, haven't you? Little couple of them. So you can actually trigger how many people are going past. You can trigger what happens to them. You can even trigger the beacons to say, hey, welcome John from HP on a screen as I walk through the door of the airport or a hotel, for example. And the way we monetize that is, how do brands want to talk to people, or how can we resell the analytics internally to us as a retailer? What can we use that information for? And then lastly, last month we launched asset tracking. So now inside your app, you can turn around and say, where's the nearest wheelchair? Where's the nearest defibrillator? Where's the nearest, they call them in the UK cartons, but in a supermarket they have the big metal cages full of fruit. And we've got a special bracket, which I can show you, which ties a little beacon, which is an asset tracking beacon, to that carrier. So I can use an app and see exactly where it is. So as a retail worker, I can say, oh, where's the carriage of melons? And it will navigate me directly to it. So that is basically a summary of all of these things. Now I'm going to quickly show you a video that describes a hospitality version of all of these things put together. So what does it look like in a hotel environment? I think some of you here today may be from hospitality, so I thought I'd add a little bit. But really, it doesn't have to be a hotel, it can be any type of retail environment. So I'm just going to try and do this. So there you see is, I'm just going to get the cursor back. Let's see if I can get this back again. Yes, nearly. Oh yeah. Continue from current slide. Yes, thank God. I've got to do that 3 times more. It's like... So as you can see there, from that video, you can see how we're using beacons to navigate her through the hotel. You can see how we're using something we called Food to Me, which is a new service we offer within our SDK. So you can say, send the food or the bar order to wherever that device is. So if I suddenly am ordering food into that room here and I move into this room here, then the delivery staff basically have an iOS or Android device on their arm, and it can see where John and his team are. The Find Associates you can see on there. We've just launched a BLE door opening, so access control. So in our offices in Santa Clara, we've basically rebuilt this, so we can now open doors just using Bluetooth recognition. And a lot of door manufacturers in hospitality are now integrating door locks with Bluetooth technology as well. So what we're trying to show in that video is the technology you're seeing behind it is really Aruba Wi-Fi, giving a blanket seamless bandwidth, so that every user gets the same. The beacons are inserted once every 30 feet throughout the hotel in the corridors, 30, 40 feet, to give accurate blue dot experience. So you know when it said turn left at the elevator, that's how we're doing that. The little tiny round beacons we have, I can show you some, that we put into the bookcase, so the beacon knows it's looking at a speaker, so if she wants to order a speaker, she triggers that. And then we're using mobile wallet integration with Urban Airship to do the upgrade, and we're upgrading her pass. So a bit like Hilton Honors, you can have a mobile wallet in Hilton Honors now, and you can upgrade the Honors pass inside the mobile wallet remotely. So that's basically what you're seeing in that video. So some of the challenges in retail specifically are increasing share of wallet, so notifying people around what in-house services are available. We're also trying to lower abandonment. So the worst thing that we spoke to a big shoe brand. I think I'll give them away in a minute, actually. I left their brand on the slide. And they said the problem they have is people walk into their store and they say they walk in and then they instantly do showrooming, which I think you know the term, where you walk in, you take a picture of the barcode and you just upload it to Amazon or Zalando or Net-a-Porter, and you say, oh, I'll get it half price, order and walk out. So you're using the retailer to try on the shoes and use their physical store, but you're actually buying it elsewhere. So lowering that abandonment, so we can cause a trigger. If someone's looking at that over Wi-Fi, we can see the application and we can say, get 20% off the shoes now if you purchase in the next 5 minutes, something like that. And then the important part of this is the retailers need to know who, what, why, when, and how, really. So I'm at a retail summit in February with a new company called Retail Trek, and they're owned by a company called ePurse, and they are the first company globally I've seen that can actually do a full end-to-end, the holy grail of retail, as they've called it, where we now can track a user from the EPOS, so from when they're buying something, we can track them through EPOS, we can track them through navigation, Wi-Fi analytics, post-sale with a company called Y-Receipts, and then we can wrap it all around social media integration using Instagram, for example. And they're the first company, so we're meeting in the next couple of weeks, that have actually got the customer journey from end to end, which for the last 5 years we've all talked about, and everybody's got mountains of databases. So we had a big round table with the leaders of Jaguar, McDonald's. There was a lot of different people there. And they said, the problem is, John, we can get all this data through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and applications and till receipts and EPOS, but then we have 5 different databases. We need somewhere we can see it in one dashboard. And that's where we finally got to this year. And then we need customers to adopt and be loyal. So those 2 statements are adopting the technology. So app adoption is still very, very low and very, very hard to get. And I still can't believe how low it is. So it only seems to be the airlines that seem to get above 35, 40% adoption, because you have to download the app to get the check-in onto the aeroplane. But some of the other brands, some of the smaller retail stores are finding it very hard to get users to use an app, because they walk into a store, buy something, walk out. Why would they keep the app on their phone? So this is one question. So using the mobile wallet as a loyalty card is a way of keeping that application and keeping engagement with the customer. The next trick is virtual to physical, and I'll show you the app that we built. The virtual to physical trick is, for example, I proved it on Saturday, and I went to IKEA, and I spent 7 hours in IKEA, which was hell on earth, as you can imagine. But the reason was because I knew what I wanted, and I wrote down a list, and I walked around, and it took me forever to find my way to sofas, to rugs, and then I got lost and couldn't get back from rugs to pictures, and ended up in the restaurant. So the perfect example, and funnily enough, we're meeting actually IKEA soon, is because what you can do is build a virtual basket at home. So you can say, I want this, 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 this. Then you build your virtual basket. And when you go to the store, all you have to do is install our beacons at the door and throughout the store. And then the beacon will say, that's John Howell. I recognize his application. I recognize his MAC address. And then it pulls in my shopping list. And then it says, right, John, let's go. And it goes, turn left, pick up this. Turn right, pick up this. This is where that is. And it would speed up my journey to IKEA by 50, 60%. Because when you get to the bottom of IKEA, as you probably all know, there's that huge marketplace area where it's just rows and rows and rows of brown tables, yellow tables, stools, and they're all just serial numbers. You don't know where things are. So the app can guide you directly to that, which is a massive improvement. So that virtual to physical is really what we're talking about there. And I'll show you what we built. And then bespoke personalized awareness. So 3 brands we're talking to now have said they want to be able to find out if someone's looking at a sofa on their website, and then they go to the store or drive past the store, they want to say, John, last night you were actually looking at this sofa, and it was 1,000 euros. Today it will be 750 euros, produce this voucher, and it pushes it into your mobile wallet. So that's what I mean about personalized awareness. So the application's aware of what you're browsing at home on the app, and also aware that you're physically near the store using the beacons, and that's how we're merging the two together. I've got one boring slide, this one. It's a proper HP slide. I normally ban them for any of my slide decks, but the problem is I keep talking about this stuff, and then people say, so where does HP fit into the conversation? And this is a good example of what a retail branch or a hotel or a stadium or an airport or any retail environment would look like. So you're starting with the access point and the Wi-Fi, say AC wave 1 or wave 2, which basically means fast or very fast. Then you've got a wired edge, so we produce switches. I call them power supplies, because the way we see switches moving is obviously powering the intelligent edge, and therefore it's wireless, so switches are obviously important. Then we have something called ClearPass, which I'm going to run through in a second, which is a way to securely onboard and engage with the customer. So, for example, Sainsbury's are one of our largest. I think we're videoing this, unfortunately, so I've slipped up about 3 times already. So Sainsbury's are one of our largest retail customers in the UK, and they use ClearPass, and it means that I can drive into a supermarket, any 3,000 of their supermarkets, and it says, John, connect to our Wi-Fi. Yes, that's it. I never see anything ever again. And that's the way they want it. They just want people seamlessly on the Wi-Fi, because once they're on, they've gone through GDPR regulation, which is about data storage, terms and conditions, acceptance, etc. Then once they're in, they cache their MAC address, so they remember that user. So every time I go to Sainsbury's now, the Wi-Fi's on, which means they can now push me, download our Sainsbury's Nectar card app, or download groceries at home, and they can start to engage with the customer. That's really what ClearPass is for. Then we have mobility controllers. I won't worry about them. They basically mean it's a way they can be in the cloud, they can be virtual, they can be centralized, as Anders said, which is basically cloud-based. And the important part is mobile engagement and analytics. So our beacon technology sits on top of all of this. So all of our access points now have beacons built into them. So Gatwick Airport, for example, a big London airport, have deployed all of our access points this year. And they said, oh, that's a shame, we didn't buy any beacons. And I said, it doesn't matter, that every single access point you bought has got a beacon in it. So you can do a lot of this engagement already because we've put Bluetooth in every single access point. So we can do asset tracking, we can do push notifications to an app, all from the Wi-Fi. So that little white box is actually now doing a lot more than it used to. It used to just be Wi-Fi, but now it's doing everything else. So ClearPass is basically two different things. It's ClearPass Guest, which is what we normally talk about for retailers, and then it's ClearPass Onboard and On Guard, but that's more of an enterprise solution. That's if Onboard and On Guard are for if you had a big corporate head office and you had thousands of people coming into it every day, like a bit like a building like this, and you want to securely onboard them. So if I walked in as the CEO and I had my iPad and I'd jailbroken it, the network wouldn't let me on. But if I'm the CEO and I'm using my Mac, it would let me on. So it's basically like secure network access control. But with retail, we use it as a way to really just engage initially with the customer. And as you probably all know, annoyingly, if you go to an airport or a stadium or something, your iPhone or Android device will go, please sign into free Wi-Fi. Please sign in. It's dropping down, doesn't it? Saying there's an open Wi-Fi network. Do you want to connect? What happens is when that happens, we can push this. So we can push a captive portal page. Now, this technology has been around for 10 years. This is what I was doing in 2006. But the interesting thing is now, it's not really used as a portal to capture data. It's used as a way to push the app. So I use it, I call it adoption technology, really. It's a way of saying, hey, John, we see you're in our store. Please download the app. That's really it. 3-4 years ago, it was, hey, John, you're in our stores at McDonald's, for example. What's your name, address, date of birth, email? They'd capture it, keep it for data, and then hit you with some emails or loyalty stuff later on. Now it's about getting the app. So now I'm going to risk this again. Don't know why I'm doing this. It's going to break. I'm just going to see if I can get... Sorry about this. It normally is quite quick on my Mac, but I'm having it. So this is a good example of a customer that we've just done in Paris. So this is a French brand of restaurant chain, but look at that captive portal. The captive portal I showed you on the slide deck was a standard Starbucks captive portal. So we do all the Starbucks Wi-Fi. It's about 8,500 stores in the US. And what this company said is, no, we don't want that. We want a user to be pushed, connect with Facebook or download our app, which is coming soon. And they're also adding Instagram to it as well. But they want it to look like the brand. They don't just want a static page. So as you see, this recognizes what browser we're in. So this can be a BMW driving up a road. So they've just done this for BMW. So as you go into a BMW car dealers and the free Wi-Fi hits you, you see the 3 Series driving, an M4 snaking up a road. And it says download our app. And by downloading the app, it therefore gives you access to book your car service and other things as well. It's just basically marketing. That's the way to see it, is marketing. But it's just a very clever way of marketing, I think. Let's get back to this. Yes, that did work. So then that's ClearPass. The next part is analytics. So if you remember my little drop down at the start, you have to engage with the customer first. Then you want to know what they're doing, really. And you can do that in 2 different ways. You can do that in anonymous data, or you can do it in actually connecting a user and finding out what their username and password is and who they are and date of birth, etc. So how this works, another boring slide, so I promised there was only one boring slide, that's the second one actually, is just to show you it's a virtual machine and it pulls all the analytics data out of the Wi-Fi and then presents that as an open REST API. So we can basically push that to any third-party analytics partner. So that can be Skyfi, Ivizone, Retail Base, it could be any of the analytics partners that we work with. And as you saw on the previous slide, there's quite a few of them. Isle Labs, we're just doing a big one in Belgium with as well. Skyfi, we've just done 2 shopping centres. Ivizone's one of our new ones. We've just done Etam and Kenzo with. And that's all around this analytics. So the analytics really is saying, okay, how many people are here? How long have they stayed for? How many are on the guest Wi-Fi? Are they repeat or new visitors? So we had a big meeting with a very large fuel chain. They have 65,000 petrol stations globally. And they said, forget everything else, forget apps, everything else. We just need to know how many people pay for fuel and then go in the shop. That's it. So their biggest challenge is 2 things. Electric cars, they're scaring them to death. So they now need to make their petrol stations into shopping rest areas because no one's going to be refueling anything. There'll just be lines of hyperchargers that give you 20-minute charge on a Tesla, for example, or the new Leaf. So they need to make people attracted to come into there. So number one is, how do we change the look and feel of the area to make it more useful? So where are people going? So I'll show you on the next slide about people flow. The next one is, for the next 10 years, while there's a transition to electric, probably 10 to 20 years, we're going to see a massive decline in fuel sales, and therefore people won't be coming to the fuel station. So we need to maximize the transformation rate between fuel and retail. So how can you tell us how many people are fueling up and then going in the shop, and how many people are fueling up, paying at the pump, and then driving off? And that was their biggest challenge. So we presented this, and they went, great, we'll do it. And the way we did it is we put 3 Wi-Fi access points into every single service station, and that therefore gives us people flow. So we can see people parked in roughly this area, so we can see about 20 square feet. If we put beacons in, we can see down to 2 meters accuracy. And then we can see where they're going afterwards. Do they go to fuel? Do they drive off? So that basically gives them a 2-flow system. But where do they best place their advertising? Where do they put their point of sale? And then we did a very clever thing with Total, is as you pull into the fuel station, as you're fueling up, your application, because you can pay by app, slides across a mobile wallet offer of €5, so you can go into the retail store and get a free car charger or something, if you refuel with like an ultimate fuel, you know, the more expensive fuel. So there's a lot of other ways you can engage. So then you have the analytics I showed you, which are people flow and more like dwell time, transformation rates, loyalty, etc. And then you have social media profiles. And this is interesting because when we launched Facebook Wi-Fi, about 3 years ago, there was a big anti-push away from Facebook Wi-Fi. Everybody said, nope, not going to click, except now. Now we've suddenly seen an acceleration in it, but it's not Facebook Wi-Fi we're seeing acceleration in, it's Instagram. Because there's been a big move to people like myself. I've dropped Facebook and now I just use Instagram because it's a way of putting photos on and your personality without divulging what you had for breakfast, where you went on holiday, so burglars can break in. So there's now a big move to have Instagram authentication within a store. So this gives you things like an age breakdown. So it can give you relationship status no longer. They've stopped that now. And that's with Facebook. And then with Instagram, you can get likes, you can see what followers, and really what it looks like is this. Sorry about the rude picture, by the way. Yeah. The only one we've just done it with is this, and I keep having to demonstrate it, and it rotates lots of half-naked women all the time. But this is with ETAM, and they said, okay, we want to do Facebook, but really we want to have Instagram offers. So to drive the young Gen Y type people, so their average age of shopper is 25 to 35, if you authenticate with Instagram and like ETAM as a brand, if you take a photo and a selfie of the outfit you're going to buy or try on, then every 100 customers will receive it free. So the younger generation go, it's worth me posting and liking ETAM because I may get €100 worth of free clothes. So it's a way of the brand engaging with them and getting a lot more information. It's a way of getting the brand's followers up. So this brand said to us they want 40,000, they want a growth from 40,000 Instagram followers to about 100,000 within the year. And this is just a way of doing it. Because every single Instagram follower goes to roughly around 700 users. So every young person that likes that brand, ETAM, about roughly 70 to 150 friends or followers of theirs will see they've liked it. So it's a way of the brand getting in front of their peers, in a way. To us, from a technology perspective, it basically goes into our Wi-Fi controller and just says authenticate that user. So that's all we're doing technically. But it's really the customer journey that's interesting. And then we get to the really fun stuff, which is the Meridian engagement things. And this is what Anders was talking about earlier. So this is, we bought a company, it's quite confusing. We bought a company about 5 years ago called Meridian, based in Portland. And we were Aruba, so I worked for Aruba before it was acquired by HP. And interestingly, most of the marketplace said, why would a big, like, world's #2 Wi-Fi company with all the retail brands end up buying a marketing company in Portland, in Oregon, that built beacons? It's nothing to do with switching, Wi-Fi, nothing. And they laughed at us, really, for 2 years. And we lost money on it, really, in a way, because it was a technology no one understood. They thought, why do we need beacons? No one uses them. And bam, last year, all the brands are saying, right, beacons are the way forward. Google have just now launched Eddystone. Apple are launching a new iBeacon. Everything's moving to application-based shopping. App usage has rocketed. So now all of a sudden, we're the only vendor on the planet that has full integrated Bluetooth Wi-Fi capabilities. So if you speak to Cisco, for example, you can work with Mist, or you can work with a partner, and they can sell you some other beacons from that partner, and you end up managing 2 data systems, basically. With us, inside our Wi-Fi, you can basically do the asset tracking, you can do the push notifications, and log directly into Meridian and build an app and change all the content. And what's interesting is now, we're coming up with retailers saying, you know, we are going to choose you as a vendor. So a good example is, I presented to a hospital 3 months ago, and this is the largest hospital in the UK. And they're Cisco's biggest hospital. And I went in and they said, no, we're just, Wi-Fi's Wi-Fi, there's no difference, it's just a white box, we don't really care. And I said, oh, are you looking at asset tracking? Because you must lose a lot of wheelchairs. And he went, oh yeah, we lose fusion pumps, wheelchairs, defibrillators, never know where they are. I said, what if I could sell you a Wi-Fi network that had all the beacons built in to show you exactly where that wheelchair was? And this can be the same for retail. And they went, yep. And we got $1 million PO, purchase order, from that customer. And they were Cisco loyal through and through. But it's because we've shifted. We've said now that Wi-Fi is a way of engaging with people. And now we can do things like this. So with our beacons, you can do 3 things. You can do wayfinding, well now 4 with asset tracking, push notifications, and location sharing. So really, we can integrate this blue dot into an app. So all of you can actually download, if you've got a pen and paper, there's an application called the Levi's 49ers, which is an app that we've built using location sharing, Find My Friend, food ordering, everything. And you can download that tonight and have a look at it. And I'm going to show you another one you can download while you're here, actually, because I was going to present it using my Mac, but I'm not sure how Windows can show an iPhone, so it's easier for you to just download it yourselves. And then you've got the push notifications, which gives you time and location. Basically what's happening is the beacon is triggering when you're walking past, and it says, what do I want to do with this user? Shall I send him information? Shall I guide him somewhere? And then we have location sharing, which is one of the world's largest clothing brands said to us, we don't really want wayfinding, we don't really want push notifications, because we've just got 8 global offices. Once people work here a week, they know where the desks are. And I went, oh, okay. I said, what about this? Find My Friend. They went, right, we'll buy it. Because they have 4 big campuses in Italy where all of their models have shoots and people are going to the restaurant and backwards and forwards, and they never know where they are. So I flew over to their office and put about 100 beacons up in a day, and then I built an app with our app maker, and I said, now you can see where your IT specialists are, you can see where the models are, you can see where the photographers are, and you see a little photo of their face. So when they connect to it, it says take a selfie, so you take a selfie, and then all your colleagues, if you agree to their location sharing, can see your face and where you are. So you can say, where are you? Where is my team? And it will show all their faces in the office. And they bought it. And it was really just for that location reason. And then we can do clever things like pushing notifications. So we work with Urban Airship, or you can build your own. So we can actually sell you an application where you can build your own app, as in style and design and content, customize your own notifications, so you can basically decide what messages to send people QR codes, etc. as well. And then you can trigger it per location. In other words, you can trigger a screen to happen. So you can say, so one car dealership we're speaking to at the moment has said, the biggest thing we want to know is if a VIP comes in. So they are now pushing every single person that buys their car has to use the app, because the app turns the heating on, it turns the car on for you while you're in the shower. So they call it a Connect. I'm trying not to give away who it is. They call it a Connect app. And inside the app now, if you walk into the dealership, it will say, this is John, and John spends €100,000 a year with this brand, and you can send a VIP sales director down to meet them at the door. And they said, if we can do that, we don't want to push them notifications. We want to push our salespeople, so our salespeople know who's coming through the door, and that's a lot more valuable than pushing a customer. So 2 customers already of ours are using it for that method, which is very clever. And then you've got beacon analytics. So I showed you before about Wi-Fi analytics, and then we've got beacon analytics. So Wi-Fi analytics is basically saying, John has walked through this shopping centre, and we can see roughly where he goes. With beacon analytics, it can see what I'm doing within a metre. So it'll know how long I spent time in that aisle, and that's a lot more important for supermarkets, clothing brands, shoe shops. So we can see it down to around 2 metres square, which is probably from here to that poster there, range. Which means we can find out what iOS device, whether they're using Android, where they've been, heat maps, and we can integrate it into a full dashboard, which I can always send on after this a link to, where we've done it for a museum. We can show a full zone, so we can see how many people visit each zones, which restaurants more popular than others as well. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of some analytics, beacon analytics. And then you've got to find my friend, so you can find where a user is, which I discussed earlier. And then this is a big move. This is with the launch of Apple Pay, Android Pay, Samsung Pay. I don't know why there's a Samsung Pay and an Android Pay. I think they're going to merge them. But is mobile wallet real-time updates. So we work with the world's largest mobile marketing company, which is called Urban Airship. So if any of you are interested in this subject, it's worth going to Urban Airship's website anyway, because it's fascinating. They've done reports and reports, and they've got Starwood hotels, they've got Sky, they've got massive brands. They're the people that do, if you're watching a World Cup football match, and you're watching it on an app, like through an iPlayer device or a Connect device, that's the one will know if you're male, if you're 35 years old, if you normally drink beer, and it will send you bespoke offers while you're watching the football match. So they work with football brands and things like that. But we're seeing really a use in the mobile payment as a way of doing something called queue skipping. So we've just done 2 queue skipping proof of concepts for 2 large brands. They've said to us the problem they have is on a Saturday, the queues will probably go from here to that screen over there. And the queue time can be up to about 20 minutes. And they've seen about 15% of their customers go, do you know what? It's not worth it. And there's actually a little line of bags where people have put clothes in a bag and just given up because they just can't be bothered to wait. I'd be one of them. If I had to wait more than 5 minutes to buy something, I would just leave. So now what they're doing is using our beacons and saying, okay, you can fill up your basket and it will navigate you to a product if you want to find one. But once you've filled up your basket, you can either scan and put them in your basket, or you can scan them, put them in your basket and be given a mobile QR code. The different choice is the mobile QR code means you can walk up to the till and show them the QR code, and the checkout assistant will scan the QR code and you pay. That's one way. So that's for paying with a credit card. So you use your phone for the QR code and then you pay with a credit card. So that speeds up checkout time by about 40%. The next one we're doing for 2 brands is you scan the products, you put them in your bag, you put your thumb on the phone, you walk out. There's no till, there's no EPOS. And that's the way these brands want to go, because they said the queue times are destroying their busiest periods where they're making the most money. So it's called Queue Buster, and it basically is that. You're scanning the QR code on the back, and you're using Apple Pay or Android Pay to pay for your products and then leave. The problem I have with it is, how do you know if someone's paid? So this is where they're saying there won't be job losses, because one thing that concerned me about this was there would be redundancies, because you wouldn't need checkout staff. They're saying now they'd have to increase customer agents, in other words, security people, to make sure you're not just putting stuff in a bag and walking out. And that's the next step. So if you now go to Apple Store, you download the Apple Store app. I did it the other day for a USB-C lead, scanned it and just walked out. But I can't figure out how they knew I'd scanned it and purchased it and walked out. So that's the only thing we don't really understand. That's a bit scary. One sec. Whew. Blue screened. I thought, that's Windows. And then lastly, we've got asset tracking. So the asset tracking part is what we've done really in reality is, say you're a retail store, you've put, say the IKEA example, you've put all of your beacons around the building, which navigates customers to a product. And then you've got beacons in there that can say, hey, John, have a free coffee. Here's a QR code. All the stuff I've been talking about. Then what we did on top of that is we said, well, hang on, if we can find our friend, why can't we find a wheelchair? But it was a lot more complicated than we thought. So we thought we were going to launch it last December because we thought it would be very easy. But the Find My Friend is intelligent because your phone is doing the thinking. If you take the phone away, how do you find a wheelchair? Because the wheelchair isn't a phone, it's just a beacon. So all of a sudden, we had to basically make the Wi-Fi network act as a receiver. So the Wi-Fi network actually sniffs and senses these and triangulates them. So if you've got 6 access points in this room, it would basically triangulate an asset tag down to around 2-meter accuracy. But what's great about it is we launched it in July, and we didn't have to change anything because we'd built the Wi-Fi network already, we'd already got the beacons in, so we just launched it. So all of a sudden, we've become an asset tracking company that is 10 times cheaper than using RFID. So we had a customer come to see us 2 weeks ago, and they said we have 45 mail sorting rooms, offices around this country. We're about to place an order for 28 million euros for tagging large valuable items, like large mobile assets, like printers and things like that, that move around. And I said, fine, we'll do it for 2.8. And they went, how's that? And I said, because you've already got the Wi-Fi network, and the tags are $20 each, and you just stick one to it. No gateways, no RFID portals, and that's where the cost with RFID is you've got to have a portal through every single door to see where it's gone, where now we're just using this. So we can open it, I showed them, we can open an app, and we can just show you where the wheelchair is. And then you can go, where's my nearest wheelchair? Dump. Where's my nearest printer? Dump. And it's on the app. So if you've already built an app, you just integrate this SDK directly into it. So it makes it a lot easier. The tags look like this. They are like a €2 coin, like about 4 €2 coins stacked up on top of each other. I've got one in my bag. They have a 2-year battery life. They're waterproof, steam-proof, so you could put them in the Blue Lagoon, I think, it'd still work. And they come with straps, so you can strap it to wheelchairs, you can screw it to different types of product. So that's asset tracking. And it depends what sort of retailer you are. And do you have valuable mobile assets? Maybe not. If you have very, very expensive, like portable disabled buggies or defibrillators in healthcare, there's lots of different things. Now, I was just going to quickly mention this, because one thing we've spent a lot of time doing with retailers is saying, how do we make the branch or the store more efficient? How do we increase margin and reduce cost? How do we get a better ROI, from the store? And then actually 3 retailers now said, I'll tell you what, don't worry about the store. We're losing all of our money in headquarters. So what we've just done for Netflix, and we're just about to do it for 2 other ones, we can't launch yet, unfortunately, but they're big clothing brands, one's in France, is putting beacons in their offices so the employees can find which meeting room is available, and then having navigation. So I turn up basically as a guest here. So say I've turned up to here today, and Trousty has sent me the Opping Carefee app. So I turn up in the car park, it triggers and says, John, you've got a meeting here in the dining room, and it navigates me directly to this room. As I walk through the door, the beacon triggers, and it says, right, John is now in the room. And my face appears on a screen. And all of you that have come in using the app, all of your faces appear. And when we're all in, the room goes green, and the meeting starts. If Trousty, as meeting lead, walks out for more than 5 minutes, the meeting ends. The power goes off, everything stops. Air conditioning stops, everything. So the cost savings for Netflix were 26% cost savings on their building. Because they said on Fridays, if no one came in, the building didn't power up. The air conditioning didn't come on. So the lighting didn't come on. The cleaners didn't have to go and clean the toilets because there were no one there. And now they've made it even cooler because they've integrated AI chat into their app. So you can now, on your way to work, say, it's actually quite funny, they've named all their rooms after film stars. So you've got Julie Roberts, Sean Connery, etc., and their faces. So you log in and you say, hey, Julie Roberts, have you got a room free? So it's just like WhatsApp. It's using Slack. And you say, have you got a room free tomorrow at 2 p.m? And she writes back going, no, John, I haven't, but Sean Connery has. And Sean's face tops up, And he goes, yes, John, we can have a meeting for you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. How many people would you like? So that is saving a concierge, it's saving all the room booking systems, and they built it directly into an app. So the employees of Netflix just have an app now. They don't have Outlook login, they don't use anything. And this logs directly into Office 365 or Google Calendar. And it costs $300 per year, per room per year. That's it, it's all cloud-based. And that includes the app. So Netflix just went, doof, and now they've realized that their rooms were too big, they've realized that they had a gaming room in the wrong place, they've done all this efficiencies and saved 26%. So it goes to show the retailers we've pitched this to have said, yes, we could probably save more from making our headquarters more efficient than putting queue skipping in the branch, maybe. It's just something to think about. Here's some real customers. So Starbucks is just mainly around the centralized guest experience. So they're around 8,500 stores. Sainsbury's is 2,500 stores. So they're looking at loyalty integration. We've just done ClearPass Guest. It's about 2,800 stores. This is the Meridian stuff that we're talking about, whereby you have your grocery app. So I did it the other day. We were coming back from holiday in France, and my wife and I were saying, what should we basically buy for a 2-week shop? And I said, I can't face coming back from holiday, going to a supermarket, it'll just kill me. So we just did the whole shop on the app. And what it's saying is you can just pay for it as normal, click and collect as normal, or you can go to the store and it will guide you using indoor navigation to pick up all your items and put it into the basket. So it's just something we're looking at. This one we've just deployed, which is a big mall in the UK. This one you can actually download now. So it's on the Android store, it's on the Apple store. So if you want to have a play with it, it's called Brighton Life. It looks like that. It's a very good way of having a look at how we've integrated brands, brand offers, push notifications, things like that. It's also got full navigation. So if you download the app and go into Map, when you go into Map, you'll see the Apple Store and a fully integrated map, and then it will give you directions. If you're in the mall, it uses our Bluetooth technology and basically says, okay, John, you are here, and I want to go from the Apple Store to, Animal, for example, and it will guide me using Bluetooth. If you download it here in Iceland, obviously you're not there, but it will give you a static route, and you'll see the little route appearing on there. But it's a nice one for you to see because, well, the UK is not very far, but it's also one that we've just launched, so it's nice and fresh. And then we've just done Home Depot in the US, which has deployed the Urban Airship mobile marketing. So you've got the mobile wallet, it's got navigation in store, and then we've got the 50,000 access points deployed as well. And then these are some of the brands that we've done from a retail perspective, so you can see a lot in there. I think, Traust, you may be sharing the slides anyway, aren't you, with people? Are you going to share the slides afterwards? Yeah, so, or some of the information within the slides as well. So now I'm just going to quickly show you one more video. So this is an app I built, so we built as a team, so it's not great. So no big expectations, I hope. But it just goes to show how we convert a virtual customer into, where's my cursor? There. Oh, I can't see it on this screen, you see, so. There, and then go to there. Yes, thank God. So, this is me with my app. And I'm sitting at home, hence see, it is bad. I'm sitting at home and I decide I want to buy a KitchenAid. So I think to myself, right, I want an orange KitchenAid because I've got green tiles, if I was colorblind, for example. And I want to take out the KitchenAid and I want to check it matches the tiles. But I can't do so online, so I'm a bit nervous about buying the wrong color. So what I do is I just basically add it to my cart. So I can add to cart or buy it now and click and collect later, however you want to call it. There's lots of different ways around it. So I've added it to my store. Whoa. And then what I'm doing is I'm just walking past the store, and this is just my iPhone. You know, this is just in my pocket, basically, or I'm using it. Now what it does is I walk past the KitchenAid store, which is Lakeland, and it says, and the beacon outside, so all we have to do to make this happen is put one little beacon outside every single Lakeland store, for example. And that triggers every time someone running the app walks past. So this app's running in the background, so it's not even running formally in the foreground. And it says, welcome to the kitchen store. We see you have something in your basket. And it says, would you like to, A, see the product, buy the product, or ask for help? So this is as I'm walking past. So that's a live push notification. And then I say, see the product, or buy the product. And then it navigates me from outside directly to the KitchenAid. And that's where our wayfinding comes in. So I've walked past, push notification, go in, wayfinding. And that's how it finds. And I walk up and I see the orange KitchenAid. And I say, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll take it home today. Now what happens then is two different things happen. So first of all, you want to trigger it to say, well, actually, seeing as you've bought that now, you can get an offer off of the accessories, 20% off the accessories. But you need to tell the people in the back office that John has actually, just make sure it's working, that John has actually paid for the product. So this is an iPad that we built as well. And we put this iPad in the foreground, horrible picture of me. And the iPad sat there so the staff could see John has bought a KitchenAid, he's paid for it on Apple Pay, and he's in aisle 2D. So what that's basically saying is that's what the text says below, you can't see it, is that's a screen that you put on the wall for the logistics people out the back. So the staff can see that, so we know that he's bought that. The logistics staff in the back have it on a very big screen, so they have lots and lots of different screens, and they know just to bring it out. And as it says, John Howe's ordered, we have it ready in 10 minutes. And then as I'm waiting there, I just wait and they deliver the box. Now the real reason behind that video is because a lot of the retailers are saying to us that they have something between 30 and 40% of customers running an app with stuff in their basket they never buy. So how do we get that basket to convert into a physical sale? And all I said to them was, integrate our SDK, our software development kit, into your app, and then put a beacon outside every store. And then maybe 4 or 5 beacons inside the store, maybe 10 for navigation. And that's all you need to do. So that's just, what's that? Oh, I thought someone said something. The other one I'm just going to quickly show you is, whoops, I'm not going to show you that. It's my personal channel, so it's got loads of drone videos on it, as you can see. And then I just want to show you AV data. So this is just an example of using basic Wi-Fi analytics. So if you were, Cartier basically said, we want to know how many people walk past the screen. Sorry, it's in French, by the way, but it basically says, how many people passed by? 37,635. How many people entered the branch? Was about 2.72% of the passerby population. And then how many went in and didn't go in? How many walked past, didn't go in? So conversion rate, basically. And then you have store. So how many unique visitors went into that store? So it's around 1,024. What was the duration of the visit? So how many people stayed 0 to 3, 3 to 15, 15 to 1, 1 to 4 hours? Can you imagine how much they were buying in Cartier? Seeing as a ring is about 20,000 euros. And then they wanted to see on the different stories, where, that's basically saying from where came the client. Basically, where did they come from? Did they come from outdoors? Did they come from the first floor? Or did they come from the second store? What was the duration of the visit, and where did they basically go afterwards? So if they went from one area, did they go to another area? That's really what that's saying. I have got one more to show you that I want to really show you, but I'm going to have to type it in. So we're all right to have 1 minute where I type this web address in, because it's actually a car dealer's that's using Bluetooth. This is where my Apple device would have been useful. So it's static. Let's see if this works. Sorry if it doesn't. Is that saying static? Yep. So this example is where a car dealer has said, how many people are engaging with our brand and how many people are actually looking at certain products. And that's where it's becoming really interesting, where you can see a mix of Wi-Fi and a mix of beacons. HTM go. Damn. Wait a minute. Staticinfozone.com, FCA, Congress. Oh, it might be HTML. 1 second. Let's see if that works. Yay. Whew. So, this is Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. Massive brand, as you know, own Fiat Chrysler and Alfa Romeo. They did the Mondial car show, and they wanted to prove a concept that said, how do we find out how many people are going into the branches and stores? Car dealerships, basically. Now, the reason automotive is very interesting for us is that there's a massive push to use applications in automotive. So car manufacturers are making you start to have to use an app. If the move, when you think, is to electric, most people will be engaging with their car via the application, switching it on, checking charge levels, preheating, air conditioning, servicing, service updates like Tesla. Tesla app says your car's had a firmware update the night before and things like that. Everything's in the app. So if the customers are using the app, then we know what they're doing. So this is basically using Wi-Fi to say that 404,000 visitors came, 8-minute average duration, and unique visitors, just like the Cartier example. No different. And we've been able to do that for 10 years, really. But then if you said, I want to see how many people were in Fiat, then you've got unique Fiat visitors, then you've got the visit duration, then you've got the unique visitors per day into those Fiat dealerships. But again, we've been able to do that for 10 years. All that's doing is saying the access point is polling your device anonymously, so you're not giving it any data, and it's going, that's a MAC address, MAC address, MAC address, MAC address, and it adds it all up. So it's very basic technology. But then we put a beacon into every single car. So then, because you're running the Fiat app, and you're a customer, if you go and sit in any one of these cars, it actually moves as well, but I'm not sure how you do that with window. Oh, yeah. So you can see all the different vehicles. Now, the clever thing here is the beacon triggers and says, 5 people sat in the Tipo today. And they sat in it for 4 minutes. And they watched 304 flick-around screens. So they have a big screen integrated to the dashboard with an advert just going... Doo, 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 doo. But because they've done that, they've also done Facebook connector. So if they sit in the car and they like it on Facebook, then the application recognizes that Facebook interaction, and it knows. So the dealership can then, because they've authenticated with Facebook Wi-Fi, the dealership can now say, we know that John sat in a Tipo for 4 minutes and liked it. He's a Fiat customer, so we'll send him, John, we understand you're interested in a Tipo. Do you want to have a free test drive? And it starts that engagement with the customer directly. Let's do that. So I hope that example is a very good way of seeing how you've got analytics from Wi-Fi, you've got analytics from beacons, you're engaging with beacons, and then you're using social media to interact. There we are. We've done that. That's it. That's it from me. So hopefully that's given you a good bit of background into the technology, what products you need, a few live examples, but I hope you can sort of see how at HP, at Aruba, how because we've got the Wi-Fi as our backbone, and now we have the beacons, really we can do all of this stuff. The queue skipping, the food to me ordering. That video I showed you at the beginning is reality. So I saw 2 of the videos like that 2-3 years ago, and we all sat there going, I don't believe it. Now we've actually built that. We've deployed it with Levi's Stadium. Live Nations have deployed it. Disney are starting to deploy it. We've just won Tottenham Hotspur, which is one of the biggest Premier League clubs in the UK that are deploying Meridian. So all of that video is actually real, and that's what I really want to get across today. But if there's any questions, I'll be here, or I'm happy to answer any questions now. Are we all right for time, by the way? Or do I go over? I think I went over. Yeah, that's it from me. So I'll be over there if anyone has any questions. Thanks.